Hey Nation, what is going on? Welcome to Octopus 101, a science class with OctoNation and Aquarium of the Bay. Hey Megan, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, doing well, Warren. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Tell us where you're at.
I am in front of our octopus exhibit right now inside our aquarium. I'm going to flip the camera because the real star is right behind me. We have Octavia here at Aquarium of the Bay, and we are currently on a temporary closure, so we have a very empty facility with Octavia here.
Awesome.
And so beautiful texture chain.
She is so beautiful. And there is there's a lot to talk about, but first I guess we should introduce you. So, who is Megan? And you're a biologist there. But how did you decide to become a biologist? What kind of got you excited about becoming that?
Yeah, great question. So I did a marine biology program at Oregon State University, shout out to them. And then I did an internship at Oregon Coast Aquarium. And I just absolutely fell in love with the work that aquariums are able to do. And I really fell in love because I was able to do some underwater dive surveys. And in the same day, I could go to the public and do a touch pool feed and tell people about the research that we were doing in the same day. And that absolutely inspired me to really invest in aquarium work, because I think they're doing so much conservation work, more than I even realized until I really became a part of it, and have been doing that ever since.
That is so awesome. And when did you join the Aquarium of the Bay team?
I joined them almost 3 years ago now.
Nice. And what do you do exactly there? What do they have you doing?
Yeah, good question. I'm going to move to the top of the exhibit so you can see both me and Octavia here really well.
Awesome.
I'm just going to get situated up here. But my job here is in animal care. Amanda, do you mind getting the lid for me? Thank you. So my primary duties are to work in animal care full time. So I take care of our shark tunnel as well as Octavia here, and I'm just going to have her join me at the top of the exhibit. My secondary duties are actually to facilitate research development in our animal care team. So I help our staff and utilize our staff for conservation research efforts around San Francisco Bay and within our facility, and Poppy is a part of that, or Octavia is part of that as well.
Hey Octavia, what's going on? Everybody in the comment section, say hi to Octavia. Say, hey, what's going on? And everybody also in the comment section, let us know where you are tuning in from. Just type down below. We always love to see. I know OctoNation and Aquarium of the Bay have fans from all over the world. So it'd be really cool to see where everybody is tuning in from right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Please let us know. And shout out to some schools. I know Live Oaks is tuning in, as well as a lot of people in OctoNation. So thanks for joining us, guys. Octavia is very excited. She is popping up out of the exhibit. This is something she likes to do quite a bit. I am absolutely not forcing her to do this at all. And she's never climbed all the way out either. She just likes to pop up and say hello. And like we mentioned yesterday in that preview, she is able to breathe at this time. She has water in her mantle and she's able to breathe that entire time. And as soon as she wants to take a breath, she'll just pop back in the water. This is a really nice.
And you know better than anyone, Megan, that octopuses have different personalities, right? They come in and some of them are really engaging and they want to say hi and they're, whatever. And then some of them grab food and then they dip out. They're gone. So to see such an engaging octopus like Octavia is so cool. Yeah, because she just comes up and
she's absolutely one of the most engaging octopuses I've ever worked with. I have another octopus behind the scenes and he would rather not hang out, and that's fine with me. So yeah, Octavia is definitely the right animal to do something like this with and educate the public about. Oh, she's getting real. Hi, Octavia. But yeah, absolutely. She's definitely one of the most interactive animals I've had.
That's so awesome. We have Daphne here. We have Jake joining in from Aquarium of the Bay administrative offices. Hey, Jake, what's going on? We have Rita here. We got people from Sunnyvale, California. We have people from all over. Huntington, New York. So many people. Katy, Texas. San Jose, California. Spokane, Washington. you name it. So let's get to it, and let's talk some basic octopus anatomy. And we decided we can demonstrate there right on Octavia, and we can learn from her. So let's talk about the arms first.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about the arms. Get a close up right there. She's starting to step back in. She's probably going to take a breath here and come hang out again in a second. So the arms are so incredible. They're extremely, extremely strong. So she has a ton of suction cups here on her arms, and each suction cup can hold about 2 to 3 pounds individually. And she has, does anyone know how many suction cups are on each arm roughly? Does anyone want to shout out a guess?
Comment section, put in your guess. How much do you guess how many suckers a giant Pacific octopus has? Right now she's going to get a breather.
So she just popped into the water. I'm sure she'll come back up and join us again.
So we got people saying, I would guess, somebody said 300. Somebody said, wow, 2 to 3 pounds is incredible. Another person said 200. Somebody said, we love biologist Meghan. Somebody said 12.
Yeah, those are some good
60, 250, 105. Guys, go up.
So it can range, but this is a giant Pacific octopus, I should say also. I don't know if we said that already. Giant Pacific octopus have roughly around 250 to maybe 300 suction cups per arm. So those are some really great guesses. Some people really nailed it on the head there. Warren, have you heard differently? It looked like you were saying more than that.
Oh yeah, I was saying like total. What I've heard is that they have around 2,240.
Oh yeah.
So the giant Pacific octopus. So
250 times 8, whatever that is.
Yeah, divide that number. So that is a lot of that's a lot of suction cups, guys. And so let's see right here. So what's the difference? How can you tell the difference between a boy and a girl octopus?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of a different angle here. So with female octopuses, they have suction cups all the way to the very end of their arm. And then with a male octopus, on the third arm on their right, they have something called a hectocotylus, where they lack suction cups, and it's a specialized organ on their third arm to the right. So what that arm is capable of doing is actually handing a sperm packet to the female. It's super interesting, and they have a specialized muscle that goes down the entirety of that third right arm that is able to carry the sperm packet from their mantle to the hectocotylus, and then they're able to pass that sperm packet to the female, and she can hold on to that for a long period of time. She can fertilize her eggs right away, or some people have commented that octopuses have been able to hold them for a period of 6 or more months and then fertilize their eggs later. So definitely, octopus reproduction is pretty cool. Oh yeah,
and and I said, like Meghan said, I have mine to show you on this one too. If you look at an octopus and you start going down, it's going to be L1, R1, L2, R2, L3, R, and that's kind of how they're separated. So what she's saying is that the third arm from the right is that hectocotylus. So that's the arm that you want to look at to ID to see whether or not it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Thanks for showing that on the model. It's definitely a lot easier.
Yeah. So the next thing we got to get into is the mantle. Where is that octopus's mantle at?
So she's showing it really nicely right now. She's going to go back in for a second, but it's basically what people call her head, right? So that mantle is the main part of her body that's atop of all of her legs there, and that's where all the organs are being held. So she has one central brain that is in front of that mantle cavity, and then everything else is all in the mantle. Yeah.
That's so awesome. And let's see, next up, we have to see where her siphon is, or funnel. You know all about her funnel because you mentioned prior to us going live that she might blow you with a jet of water. So what is the purpose of the octopus's funnel?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to see if she'll come back up so I can show you firsthand here.
She's playing hide and go seek.
Yeah, she is. She keeps kind of coming back and forth, which again is totally fine. I'm not going to force her to be up here if she doesn't want to. First, oh, she's not going to show it to me right now.
That's fine.
There it is. You can kind of see it. So this is the opening into her mantle, but right here, the part that's opening, right, that's her inside her mantle, and that opening right there, that's her siphon. And her siphon is really important for a lot of functions. That's where the poop comes out. That's also how she's able to breathe. So she'll breathe by pulling water into her mantle cavity. You can kind of see her gills there as she's taking a breath. And then when she exhales, the water comes out of her siphon there.
And I've gone into schools, and I always say that number 2 is party time for an octopus, because it looks like silly string. It really does. When octopus poop comes out of its siphon, it blows out and it looks just like silly string. So I remember I got these cans of silly string and I was spraying the class, and they were just like, oh my God. It was very interesting to say the least. They're never going to forget that for sure. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's totally true. And it comes right out of their siphon. And sometimes I'll get a call from someone when we are open, and they'll say, hey, something's coming out of the octopus's head. What's wrong? And they're just doing their thing. They're doing number 2.
So another interesting thing about the octopus is the fact that it has a beak. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we'll be able to see it at the moment, but her beak is in the center underneath all of her arms on the opposite side. If she ends up showing it to me later, I will definitely point it out to all of you. But her beak is a really important function for being able to eat all of her prey. They are venomous animals, so they're able to inject venom into their prey as soon as they catch that prey. And then that, similar to like a spider, it'll stun their prey, and then they're able to use their radula that pulls all of that food into their beak so that they can chew it and consume it. And their beak, we don't typically see it from the outside, but on the inside, it literally looks like a parrot beak. That's why we call it a beak.
And they kind of look like they have little lips, you know, that and the beak comes through the kind of that. It's called, like, if you want to get really technical, I think it's like a buccal mass or something like that. But like these little lips, and then the beak comes out of them. So it's really fascinating. A lot of people think that the octopus, I've heard this from a lot of people, if I interact with the octopus, does it normally bite? And you want to talk about that?
That they don't normally bite? Is that what you said?
No, I said, yeah, they think, oh, you know, I don't want to get too close or whatever because they might bite. But how rare is it that an octopus bites somebody that's interacting with it?
That's a really good question. I have never been bit. I have never seen anyone that works with these animals be bit. However, we are also specialized and trained animal care staff, so I definitely wouldn't recommend for anybody to try to play with an octopus in the wild. They are wild animals. They are venomous. And if you tried to approach one in the wild, they definitely might bite you if you're not careful and you're not sure what you're doing. But yeah, in terms of animal care staff, when they're here with us, I've never been bit, never seen it happen.
Yeah,
that's right.
And she spent her career interacting, like I said, with octopuses. So that's how rare it is. But like she mentioned, never interact with one of these creatures in the wild. And if you do get the opportunity to interact with them, make sure that you're with somebody who is trained, is an animal care specialist like biologist Meghan. So fascinating. So let's talk about next their ink sac. Look at that. You can see that's right where all those arms converge, guys. That's where the beak is at.
Yeah, so you can't see it from right here. Sometimes I'll be able to see it. Part of the beak might pop out for a second if she's about to consume some food, but normally it's safely tucked away inside all of that.
We have a quick question from John Liu. He says, hey, Meghan, does the octopus smell fishy or smell like anything at all? Question mark.
That's a good question. I have never had that question. No, I don't really think they smell, actually, not at all. They do kind of feel a little slimy, a little soft, kind of like silk. But no, in terms of smell, they don't really smell like much at all.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I can't really say it smells like octopus in here. I don't think they have really that much of a smell either. Maybe the food that you feed them, that's kind of smelly, but they themselves,
right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Next thing, let's talk about, we kind of touched on it, but let's talk about the octopus's brain and how it has that central brain and how the other neurons are distributed throughout the body.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have one central brain, like I was saying before. However, they also have a technical brain that's at the base of each of their arms. So they have a total of 9 brains. Recently, there's a lab out of UW that I am blanking on right now, and I'm so sorry. I'll make sure to comment on the video.
Yeah, just put it in the comment section. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely add the lab's name and the researcher after this. But he's actually researching how the arms are able to function in octopuses. And he is seeing that arms can actually function on their own, and up to 3 arms might even communicate with each other without even sending that information back to the central brain. So if it's a simple problem or simple investigation, the arms might even solve that problem on their own without getting that central brain into the conversation. But if it's a bigger problem or bigger thing that the animal might want, like food or prey or needs to hunt, or the whole body needs to be involved, then the main central brain is incorporated to coordinate all of those arms together.
That's so amazing. And the way I've always thought about it is, you know, imagine like you're an octopus and you're sitting on the couch watching TV. I know this is kind of weird, but stay with me. And you tell you're like, I'm busy watching this show, you know, arm, please go find the remote because I want to keep doing this. And so your arm just goes and it finds it. So you don't ever have to take your attention off of what you're doing. That's kind of the way the arms work, is they don't need the use of the central brain and the attention to perform fine motor skills, like, you know, search for things or say, hey, I found something. So they just kind of do their own thing, which I think is such a phenomenal thing about the octopus. And it's a huge reason why, you know, why they're such a magnificent creature. But now we're moving on and we're getting to the eyes. So what is special about the octopus's eyes?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I will mention too that a lot of people specialize in different parts of the animal. I focus on behavior and physiology of octopuses, and there are a lot of specialists out there that know a lot more about the eyes than I do, but they are super cool. I'm trying to see if I can get a close up here, and they are effectively colorblind. Mm-hmm. So their eyes they have a bit of a slit, just like cats might have a slit for their pupil, as opposed to around people. And they definitely see the world a bit differently than us. It's more of a globe view, and yeah, can't see color either.
Yeah, and the cool thing about octopus eyes as well, something that's always fascinated me, is the fact they don't really have a blind spot because they have an optic nerve and it routes behind the retina. So like they have this almost like panoramic vision. You know how when you go to the movie theater and you see those big panoramic screens? An octopus can kind of like, because they have so many predators in the wild, they've evolved to be able to see almost in front of them and behind them to make sure that they have squishy bodies, right? So we always say that octopuses are like the sea protein bar. So they got to be aware of everything 360 degrees around them at all times. And so those magnificent eyes, right, have this amazing ability to keep an eye on everything. So if your mom tells you, hey, I have eyes like an octopus, it means she can see behind her head.
Yeah, that's such a good point I forgot to bring up. There's a lot of fish species like that in general in the ocean, and it's such a cool adaptation that they have, so that, like you said, they can see everything around them basically at one time.
Awesome. And we have a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to ask you some of their questions towards the end. So guys, I'm definitely type in your questions. If we don't get to your questions during the live stream, know that me and Megan will be in the comment section and Aquarium, the Bay's staff, and we'll answer these questions for you all. Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
so let's move on and talk about their hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone know how many hearts they have? Or I just shout that out? I don't want to get any guesses.
How many hearts does an octopus have?
I know a lot of people, especially OctoNation, is a little bit more knowledgeable than the average fan of octopuses. Or maybe I should just jump in.
Jenna got it. Jenna. Oh, Colin got it too. We have all the correct answers coming in. I don't think. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers already know. They have a total of 3 hearts. So yeah, they've got some really cool anatomy that's very different from other fish and people especially. But they have 3 hearts, and one is a central system heart that pumps the blood to the most of the body. But then each set of gills has its own heart as well. So each set of gills will have one heart. The full-time job is just making sure that blood is pumped to the gills so that they can oxygenate their blood, and then that main heart will push it to the rest of the body of the animal.
Awesome. So while we're on the topic of blood, what's fascinating about their blood? That's another interesting thing about the octopus.
Yeah, absolutely. Octopus blood, if you are able to see it, is actually blue, not
so
red
awesome.
like it is in humans. And that's because it is copper-based instead of, does anyone know what our blood is based out of that makes it red? Iron, right?
What's Octavia doing? Yes, iron.
That's right.
And the blue blood, the reason for the blue blood too is, tell them how cold that water is.
Oh yeah, this water is really cold. So this water is 48 degrees right now. So very, very cold.
Yeah, and we can't really, us as humans, we can't withstand, freezing temperatures in water. We'll go into we'll get hypothermia. But the octopus, the way their blood works is it's more efficient in colder temperatures. So it can, withstand, those cooler temperatures and actually thrive in that chill environment. So really, really fascinating.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it's a very cool adaptation with their blood that allows them to stay comfortable in these really cold environments.
Yes, and we can't end this without talking about the skin, their chromatophores, their ability to change color. So we saw kind of in the beginning them changing. It was changing like this mottled pattern. But do you want to talk about their ability to change color?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, chromatophore is a specialized cell that they have, and it's kind of like, I like to call it like a cell that has a sack of color inside of it. And basically when that cell expands or contracts, you see more or less of that color. So you're able to see shades of basically red to white and anything in between that. And yeah, based on their environment, they can actually respond to their environment. Cool fact about their chromatophores and their eyes. They can respond to their environment and camouflage. Even if they can't see the color, they can change their color and texture to adapt to what's around them so that they can camouflage.
What's Octavia doing right now? Is she just chilling out?
Yeah, good question. I think she's right below me. I'm going to flip the camera so you can see her.
Awesome. Hey, what's going on? So she has that kind of mottled pattern right now.
I was going to say, we're going to go to the front of the exhibit so you can see her a little bit better while she's not hanging out with me.
Yeah, look at that. She's kind of blending into, hey there. What's going on? She's in the corner. Yeah,
so she's blending in perfectly with that kelp. But yeah, she's a mottled color right now with a lot of texture, which is super cool to see.
And that, the texture, and another thing about the color is, everybody at home, I want you to blink. So just blink and open your eyes and try to blink as fast as you can. An octopus can actually change colors faster than humans can blink. So 1/5 of 1 second, an octopus can change colors. And so it's really fascinating to kind of see them in the wild. And we show a lot of videos on OctoNation of them doing these really quick change, texture and color changes. But how do they change texture?
Yeah, that's a great question. They have some really specialized skin and muscles that allows them to move their skin and make these. Can you see those like kind of horn-looking things that are coming out of her mantle right now? And that's all some specialized muscle movement there in her skin that's allowing her to color and texture based on her environment.
Look at she's coming to the front.
I know.
I bet when she has visitors there at Aquarium of the Bay, she puts on a show all the time for them.
Yeah, she really does. Like I said, she's extremely charismatic and definitely wants to always hang out with the people.
When I think of an octopus that changing the texture of their skin, I almost think of a projection screen. So they can project the texture of whatever they're on top of their skin. Like Meghan was mentioning, they have these specialized skin and these muscles. It's called papillae, I believe. And when they flex it, they can create this branched effect, and they can match whatever texture of they're on. They just project it. And so it's like fascinating skin. Not only do they change their colors to match, but they change the texture of their skin to blend in even with their environment even more.
Yeah.
But we have a quiz. We're going to quiz people now, and so I'm going to be looking in the comment section. And for those of you who answer this quiz, I want you to put the answers. I'm going to be sending to some random people some OctoNation stickers and an OctoNation T-shirt. So we have 3 questions that we're going to ask real quick. The first one you all should get is, how many hearts does an octopus have? The second one is, what color is an octopus's blood? And the third one is, what are the octopus's color changing cells called? And so for those of you who put all 3 of those answers in the comment section, we'll be sending out, I'll be choosing some random people to send some stickers and some OctoNation shirts to. So definitely, hopefully you guys were at home and you were writing down notes about the octopus. So definitely put those in the comment section, and we'll get those out to you. So let's talk about what's going on.
I was just going to say, she's doing some really cool color change and texture changes right now. And I wanted to mention too, even if they're effectively blind, not only can they change their color and their pattern based on their environment, but they can change the texture as well. So some studies have really shown that they're able to do that. Their body is able to absorb and reflect the environment without even needing to have their eyes functioning in that moment, which I just find so fascinating.
How could you not look at this animal and just be obsessed? I mean, look how incredibly magnificent they are. Look, it's so amazing.
There's that. What's that, guys?
What's going on up there? Is she trying to steal your? Oh, good. Look, she pooped on you for camera. Look, that is the poop. So I told you guys, it looks just like silly string, right? If you guys are having a party, put number 2 is party time for an octopus. Comment that in the comment section. Number 2 is party time for an octopus.
That's right. That's so funny. And you can always tell what they've been eating based on the color that it comes out as well. So that one was a little purple, and that's because she was eating squid a couple days ago. And once they eat that squid, the ink sac in the squid kind of becomes just mushed up with the rest of the food, and it comes out purple looking.
Wow, everyone is going to win every octopus trivia contest they ever enter if there's an octopus question, because we're just answering everything today for them. And they got to see an octopus poop on live stream. I mean, that never happens. I think I only have one video on OctoNation.
Plan that if I tried.
Yeah. And let's just say that when an octopus poops towards you at a camera, that means good luck. Let's just go with that. We're gonna say that.
Absolutely.
So while you're down there, let's talk about what life at the aquarium of the Bay is like right now, because I know that with everything going on right now, so what is it like? You want to give us a kind of like a quick rundown of how you guys are dealing with this whole outbreak?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to keep the camera on her because she's definitely very cool to watch right now. But yeah, we are in a shelter-in-place order. San Francisco started that last week, and California as a whole is now in a shelter-in-place order. So if you're not essential staff, you're told to stay at home. Now, we are essential staff, and I'll just be very clear that our animals are absolutely our top priority. So their day-to-day, the animals' day-to-day, has really just stayed the same. They don't notice a difference at all. But for our team, it's definitely a lot more work. We have our animal care team is coming in full time, but we have divided our team in half into 2 non-overlapping teams. So I won't see half my team for the foreseeable future as we're going through this shelter-in-place order. The other thing is that we rely really heavily on a lot of volunteers, and so shout out to all of our really awesome volunteers if they're out there right now, streaming in with us right now. They do so much work for us, including diving in our tunnels every day. This is one of our tunnels, the shark tunnel, and when we don't have them, the staff is jumping in and doing that every day. I was actually diving in our tunnels earlier today to do that maintenance. We're definitely equipped to be able to do that, but we miss our volunteers and we miss the other departments that are not currently working here while we're temporarily closed.
And I was telling Meghan, we did a sneak peek yesterday, and I was telling, this octopus and all the animals there, they still got to eat. And so Aquarium of the Bay set up a page called, I believe it's aquariumofthebay.fund.org. So we'll put that in the comment section, or if somebody could put that in the comment section, just type it in www.aquariumofthebay.fund.org. They set up a campaign to where, I mean, whatever you want to donate. If you want to donate 10, 20, 100, you can do reoccurring. You can do a one-time donation. Buy dinner for the octopus, right? So treat the octopus to dinner one night and do a one-time donation, or do a reoccurring donation, because during this time, Aquarium of the Bay definitely needs your help. Is there anything else you want to mention on that front with?
I was going to say, yeah, thank you so much, Warren, for that shout out. I really appreciate it. The animals, again, are fine, but we are a facility that relies solely on our ticket sales, that we can inspire and educate the public that comes through, and we're not able to do that right now. We don't have those ticket sales to support us. So these are definitely unprecedented times, and we're doing the best we can. We just actually had a donation. I will also put the name of that company in the comment section once I get the information, but they're not able to give their live shellfish out to restaurants right now, and they donated $5,000 worth of live shellfish to us that we're feeding to our bat rays and some other animals as well. So all of those donations have been extremely helpful to us getting by during this time. And if you have an extra even dollar just to throw our way, that will definitely help us as well while we're temporarily closed.
And again, OctoNation, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of members. If you have any resources for the Aquarium of the Bay, say you have, a restaurant owner that's in the Bay Area, or whatever, definitely tag them down below, because I'm sure Aquarium of the Bay is looking at all options. So they're totally open to more people. Like you mentioned, had donated $5,000 worth of shellfish. That's amazing. I'm sure we can find more people that can help contribute. But speaking of food and the octopus, we got a treat for Octavia. So definitely stick around and watch Octavia interact with this.
Yeah, and before I give her that, I want to show you one more thing, because once I give her the food, she's going to be pretty distracted and not probably come back up. So before I do that, let me just show you one thing. Now, as I mentioned before, part of my job is to help develop some research efforts at our facility. And in order to do that, I'm also working on some higher credentials right now. I'm working on a master's thesis at San Francisco State University in Dr. Robin Crook's lab, and she studies cephalopods specifically. And in that research, I'm looking at how octopuses are experience their terminal reproductive phase, which is known as senescence. Now, when animals are senescent in that terminal reproductive phase, they go through a pretty severe deterioration before they eventually die. It's very similar to salmon. If you've ever seen salmon swim upstream, they start to kind of fall apart and they spawn, and then that's the end of their life as well. So not all cephalopods are like that, but giant Pacific octopuses are semiparous, meaning they will only reproduce once before they enter that end of life phase. And so as an animal care specialist, it's really important for me to understand what they're experiencing during that time, and if they're uncomfortable or if they even feel that experience at all. And so what I'm doing is, I don't think she's going to hang out with me anymore, but that's okay. What I'm doing is collaborating with facilities across the United States. We've had an outpouring of support from other institutions replicating my procedures. So I only have Octavia here and one other octopus behind the scenes. And what we're doing is measuring how she'll respond to a stimulus over time. And that stimulus, I'm going to show you, give me a stick back. I use a thing called a Von Frey filament, which is right here. Oops,
let me see it.
Right there.
Oh, that's cool.
You can see it right there. And what this allows me to do is go ahead and touch her with this filament. I'm trying to show it close there. So when I press this filament and the filament bends, I know the density of the filament and the pressure point will stay constant. So I know that I'm applying 10 grams of pressure with this filament here. And I'll tell you right now, when I touch her with this, you can see it's really light filament. She basically doesn't respond at all. But what this will allow me to see is if she becomes sensitive during that reproductive phase. Similar to how if you get a paper cut and you might feel a little hypersensitive the next day, Dr. Robin Cook actually proved that cephalopods can feel the same thing. They can feel hypersensitive to an injury for extended periods of time. So what I want to look at is if when they're going through that reproductive phase, if they're also experiencing that decline as hypersensitive experience or not. And if they are, that will give me information to make sure that I'm giving them the best standard of care and make sure that we ensure their quality of life as well.
And that's so cool. I mean, even just that amazing research that you're doing, supporting Aquarium of the Bay supports that research, right? Yeah. Because it gives you the ability to do what you love to do. So another shout out to aquariumofthebayfund.org, so that Meghan can continue doing that amazing research with cephalopods, because we need more people, and this is just a call out to OctoNation, more people interested in marine life and ocean life. And doing this work gets people inspired and excited. So thanks for doing the work that you're doing. I know the nation really appreciates it, and we can't wait to hear what the results of your experiments are. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I have a big toy for her. Yeah, I've got a big toy that we're going to give to her now. This is a hamster ball, a giant hamster ball. And inside, I've got some hex balls that have some red rock crab, and then I have a hamster tube that's stuffed with some prawns and some vitamins as well. So I'm just going to go ahead.
That looks really complex too. Like that, yeah. It looks like I couldn't get food out of that thing. I would have a hard time.
Yeah. So Octavia here has proven to adapt to things really well, and she is extremely smart. So I don't necessarily make toys this complicated right off the bat when we first get an animal at our facility, but Octavia here has seen all of these toys multiple times, and now she's very used to knowing how to open this puzzle. And so I actually try to consistently change up the complexity and change the combination of toys to keep it interesting for her. We want to stimulate her mind as much as possible. And so I try to give her an enrichment item every day, and all of her food items are provided an enrichment toy to keep her stimulated and constantly thinking and problem solving, so she can stay mentally healthy as well as physically.
Sage says, that's amazing research. Best of luck with your work. So what is she doing right now, like under that web of magic?
Yeah, so you can kind of see it every once in a while. Yeah, I think so. So the hamster ball has an opening on one side, obviously, and you can kind of see her arms are kind of jolting every once in a while. That's her muscles. Oh, she already turned. Opened it? She already opened it. See, the top of the hamster ball is coming off right now. She already opened it because, like I said, she's seen this a few times, and she's extremely smart. So yeah, she already twisted that top off, similar to like opening a jar. She knows how to solve that puzzle pretty quickly. She's showing a lot of really cool texture and color right now. She's highly
She's like, come on, Meghan. She's like, I'm ready for the Rubik's Cube, Meghan. Like, pop in a Rubik's Cube so I can start.
Okay, well, that's why the food had more puzzles. So now that she opened the hamster ball, she'll have to solve the puzzles that are on the inside of the hamster ball as well, so that she can get that food out of there.
Yeah, for sure. We have a lot of people that said number 2.
Her arm is moving. It's like pulling all of the food and enrichment items out of the hamster ball.
We're going to answer some questions from people tuning in. Angela Law says, how many times does an octopus poo in a day?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it really depends on what their feed schedule is. So typically they'll poop roughly 24 hours after you feed them. And I feed her based on her metabolic rate. So we know based on their metabolic rate that they need 12.69 kilocalories per kilogram of animal. So I calculate based on her weight how many calories she would need a day. And I don't necessarily feed her every day, but I make sure that by the end of the week that she's had her caloric need for the week. So sometimes I'll give her a really large meal. Like today, I fed her 2 whole crab and 3 prawns. That's pretty good. That'll keep her satisfied for at least a couple days, if not 3. So then she might not poop for a couple more days. But if I feed her smaller meals every day, then she might poop every day.
What's interesting, I feel like you should have a business card that says you're an octopus personal trainer and nutritionist, like getting them to work out. Somebody says, whoa, I love the enrichment food toy. I wonder if I can make one for my family. That would be fun for your kids.
I know, yeah, some quarantine life toys.
I had I have 7 brothers and sisters, right? And so I remember we ate our, our mom, the refrigerator out of house and home to the point where she put handcuffs on the fridge. She was like, okay, kids, I'm spending $500 a week on groceries. This has got to stop. So we were like, oh, come on. So that was and I don't think we ever got the handcuffs off. No, I don't think we did. Nancy says, if a female never mates, can she live longer?
That's a really good question. I don't know that I necessarily know the answer to that because, again, octopus reproduction is very complex. If a female gets that spermatophore from a male, like I was saying before, she can hold on to that for an extended period of time. And I don't even think that we're sure on how long they can hold a sperm packet. So even if she does reproduce, she might hold on to that for a while before she fertilizes those eggs and enters into that terminal reproductive phase. So really good question. I know that there was one study that was done that actually removed the optic gland of an octopus and it reversed their reproductive phase, and those animals did live longer. But that obviously is not something that we would ever do. They were just experimenting to show that the optic gland was responsible for reproduction and hormones. Or for the initial hormones.
Jerry Mark says, does the size of the environment have a large effect on the size of the octopus?
Great question. And the answer, I would say no, it is really not. Again, they have a really specific metabolic rate and they cannot store fat. So all of the calories that they consume. I know. So all of those calories that they consume go strictly to either reproduction or growth. So really their growth has to do with their environment and how much they're eating. So again, because I know her caloric need, I'm really careful about how many calories I give her. I'm definitely going to give her enough for her metabolic need, but I'm not going to give her so much more that she's going to quickly outgrow this exhibit. She's 22 pounds. I definitely don't want her to be going on an exponential growth rate and hitting 100 pounds or something. Then it might be a little tight. But yeah,
that's another good question. How big could a giant Pacific octopus get? How big do they actually get in the wild?
Yeah, super good question. I get that question all the time. Again, it really depends on their environment and how much food they're able to get. Some of the largest giant Pacific octopuses have been recorded under the Tacoma Narrows in Tacoma, Washington, at Washington State. And that's because there's this really tight channel of water that's going through with a ton of food that's coming through. So octopuses can basically just get as much food as they could possibly ever want. And some of the largest octopuses, giant Pacific octopuses ever have been recorded there. Some over, I think, 150 pounds in the Tacoma Narrows.
Yeah, and a bigger octopus means that it's harder to hide for them. So, oh, look, what is she doing now?
She's just kind of rotating, but you can get a really good view of the inside. There's the lid that's floating away that she already popped off. And I don't know if I can zoom on here, but she's pulling up that green hex ball out of the hamster ball to get one of those crabs.
Sage says, awesome, more research opportunities. Yeah, the more and more, what I've discovered is octopuses are endlessly fascinating, right? And the more and more we learn about them, the more research opportunities just come up. And not only are, you have the giant Pacific octopus, but there's over 300 different species of octopus. They live in every single ocean. They're along every single coastline. And depending on where they live in the ocean, they have these superpowers, what I call them, that allow them to thrive in whatever environment that they're in. And so they've really got it figured out. Octopuses, deep sea octopuses, coastal octopuses, they all have these really unique things. So if you kids are at home right now and you want a really fascinating research project to do, just start doing flashcards of different octopuses and their superpowers. You have the blanket octopus that has a 6-foot long iridescent cape. It looks like almost like a floating rainbow through the sea. You have the sand octopus that can't change color, so it blows itself a foot underground, secretes a mucus to reinforce the walls around it, and then it creates a ventilation shaft with one of its arms and can stay underground. So there's all these really unique things that you'll discover as soon as you start getting into octopus species that will just make you an octopus fan. So definitely a lot more research opportunities. Sage says, how many different species? Over 300. And I believe that there are thousands. We've only discovered and named close to 300. But even then, in those 300, we're discovering differences. Like, do you want to mention the giant frilled octopus?
I was just going to say, even with a giant Pacific octopus, we thought there was just one species of giant Pacific octopus, and now we've seen that there is a genetically different species that's primarily found outside of Alaska called the frilled giant Pacific octopus. And I believe the main difference is that along their mantle here, they basically have a large frill that will come out from their mantle. So visually, that's the way that you can tell the difference, and otherwise genetically, they're different as well.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And we have Cody Hollenbeck, and we have one of the people that participated in that study in octopusfanclub.com. So if you're interested in connecting, and we have Chelsea, she just joined in. She's another PhD with cephalopods. Amazing researcher as well. She's in that group, and Megan's in our group. So we have a lot of really fascinating people doing amazing work, and I can't wait to support them even more with what they're doing. Let's see. Hillary Crane says, a frilled GPO. I want to see it. I'll put it in the comment section afterwards. But we'll do a couple more questions, and then somebody already said, as much as I'd like to stay and watch all day, I got to go and get everyone's mail sorted. Thank you for sharing Octavia with us. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for tuning in. Angela says, does an octopus pee? That's interesting. She's asking the real questions.
I hate to say it. I'm not sure that I know for sure the answer. I think they do.
I think it's through their skin. They probably secrete,
I know. I'm going to have to look up the answer exactly.
Like
but I'm not
flow.
Right. And their skin is extremely permeable to their environment. So it's also possible that a lot of the liquid excretion that they need to have happen could happen osmotically through their skin. But I'll have to look that up, and maybe we can find the answer and post the answer in the comment section as well.
Another cool thing about octopus skin is there are some coastal species that it's called cutaneous respiration, which means they can absorb oxygen through their skin. And it's called passive fusion, essentially. I know that there's all these big words, but essentially they can absorb a very limited amount of oxygen through their skin, which allows them to crawl from rock pool or tide pool to tide pool and search for crabs. So they can hunt on land, which is really fascinating. You don't really see giant Pacific octopuses jumping up on land. They'd be like a big wet balloon.
Apparently I have a colleague in Alaska though that says that they are often in the tide pools there because the water is so much colder, so much more shallow in Alaska, that you might see them in the tide pools hopping around up there.
Somebody asked, do the colors of the octopus indicate anything specific? Jerry Marks says, do the colors of the octopus indicate anything specific?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So we do know some things about their color. There's a lot of researchers looking at this in general, especially in cuttlefish. Primarily their color is and their texture is going to be for camouflage. Now, right now, I think because Octavia is distracted and eating right now, she's nicely camouflaged, probably so that she can focus on eating and not have to worry about potential predators that are around. Obviously, she doesn't have predators here. But in the wild, they're probably going to be focusing on camouflaging while they're eating so that they can be nice and blended in. I have seen when they're more pale or kind of white, they're often just really relaxed or in a deep sleep. Sometimes Octavia is not the most beautiful sleeper in the world, and she'll be completely white in the corner and spook me for a moment, and then she'll color right back up. So sometimes when they're fully white, they might just be really relaxed. And then sometimes I'll see them turn really dark red if they seem highly stimulated, or highly mottled when they're highly stimulated. So I definitely know that there are some researchers looking at that, but I think it can also vary on individual too.
And there were some research too that that octopuses can recognize people's faces. They can recognize individuals. Yeah. So I believe that it was at the Seattle Aquarium that showed that their behavior, their breathing patterns, and their color changed depending on whose face they recognized. And so, like, you have a story. Right. Yeah, with Cy Montgomery, she mentioned that, you know, with the octopus that she was interacting with, that every single time she would come, it would flush red and come and meet her. And, you know, just like Octavia was doing with you earlier in the video, right. Throw her arms all over her. But with other people, she wasn't that interactive. Right. And so, you know, Cy had spent, you know, hours, you know, petting and interacting with her, that octopus there at the New England Aquarium. But so that's another fascinating thing, is that if you go to the aquarium enough, Octavia could potentially remember who you were, which is another fascinating thing.
And they also have memory based on their smell too. So their suction cups, I should mention, one of the really cool adaptations of suction cups here. Not only is it able to suction on to their environment and what they want to eat, but they can completely smell and taste through those suction cups right there. So she does also have memory based on her environment from smelling. So she does smell me, and I smell different, obviously, than someone else. And I think that can sometimes be enriching for her, especially because she's so interactive. When she meets a new person and they smell different, that can be really stimulating for her as well.
Jenna says,
I've definitely had an octopus before that did recognize my intern and would turn a different color and hide. Shout out to Derek.
Oh, Derek. Yeah. There was an octopus at an aquarium one time. I heard that because they can blow jets of water, and they through their funnel, they can direct that jet towards different things. And so there was a light hanging above, I remember, an exhibit one time, and that octopus just decided every single night to short circuit that light, just blow a jet of water and short circuit that light. And they're like, what is going on with this light fixture or whatever? And then they finally put a webcam in, and then sure enough, the octopus was blowing a jet of water and saying, "I'm trying to sleep. I'm nocturnal. Like, please."
That's so funny. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And not only that, but they can also direct water at people's faces. And Octavia here, I warned Warren earlier, Octavia has a history of pushing almost 3 gallons of water in my face sometimes, especially if she's hungry and I'm not giving her food right away. She might get a little impatient and douse me with a bucket of water.
Jenna says, do they like to be touched?
Yeah, great question. That I think entirely depends on the individual. This animal, Octavia, does seem to benefit from it. She will constantly come up to investigate people when they're at the top of the exhibit. But again, I have another animal that's behind the scenes that would rather not ever necessarily touch someone. He likes douses of water to come on top of him. He likes to play with like a watering can of water, but not every animal is the same. Not every animal wants to interact. So yeah, great question.
Yeah, you really, like I said, Jenna, they have long-term and short-term memory, and depending on their life experiences and just their personality, some of them are interactive, some of them really aren't. You kind of have to be cool with that and not try to force them to do anything that they don't want to do. Like Meghan was mentioning at the beginning, she was like, okay, she was like, you know, Octavia's done interacting, which means we're done interacting. So that's that.
Yep, it's totally up to her. I'm never going to force her to be a part of that interaction.
Another interesting question is, does an octopus have a pulse?
Yeah, absolutely. An octopus does have a pulse. I don't know that I have necessarily been able to take the pulse. I've been trying a little bit because Octavia here is so interactive, and well, if you were watching earlier, she'll completely jump up on top of the exhibit. One of her the main system heart is about right here. And recently I did think I could feel her pulse by kind of pressing into her mantle to feel that system heart, although it might have also been my pulse. So I think you definitely could. I haven't personally been taking a pulse though.
Yeah, I have a video on OctoNation of somebody actually holding an octopus arm up, and you can see its blue blood coursing through its veins. So I'll put that in the comment section so you all can see it. We have Jake ask, how big is an octopus's brain?
Oh, that's a good question. It's surprisingly small. So for Octavia here, her central brain is going to be between her two main papillae right here above her eyes. And actually, Her brain is probably the size of like my entire fingernail bed here, so maybe the size of a marble between her eyes. That's her central brain. Now the nerve net brains that are at the base of each arm, I'm not quite sure. It's just a small nerve net that's at the base of each arm.
Yeah, so shout out to Melanie Johnson. She has this video right here. I don't know, you probably can't see it, but
oh wow, yeah.
Right,
oh yeah,
right
I can see that. Great.
Where you can see the blood kind of coursing through its veins right there. So,
yeah, wow.
And that's on our Instagram. If you just go to @OctoNation, you can definitely check that video out. And I'll put it in the comment section too. But there's just, like I said, octopuses are endlessly fascinating. And to be honest, me and Megan, we could do a 24-hour live stream broadcast and just have we could just, because there's just so many different things. I mean, we didn't even really get to talk about the fact that the octopus's sucker has like this chitinous cuticle, almost like our fingernails. Yeah. An octopus, on every single one of their suckers, they have this protective sucker lining, which is like a chitinous cuticle. And so when they want to clean themselves, and I do this in the elementary schools, I have the kids do this. I say, all the kids do this right now. I want you to do this. And I was like, that's exactly what an octopus does to clean itself and to remove it kind of looks like a little sucker lily pad almost. And then they can taste better. Their grip strength improves. And so it's just another fascinating thing about the octopus. Jerry Mark said, I would watch a 24-hour. Jerry Mark said, I would watch a 24-hour cephalo party.
I would too. And honestly, I'm also constantly learning. You know, I specialize, like I was saying, in physiology. I'm doing some really cool tissue staining of their nerve cords right now to understand nerve health as they go through that reproductive phase. And I'm taking some really cool images right now of how their nerve cord changes as they go through their reproductive phase. And so I know a lot of information about some things, but I am absolutely constantly learning about things about their eyes and their camouflage. I learn, constantly something new every day.
I want to remind everybody, I mean, that Aquarium of the Bay right now, we mentioned earlier on this live stream, but that they are closed right now to the public. But as we were saying before, octopuses and all the animals there, they still got to eat. Research still has to be funded. And so if you all were curious, or if you're joining in late, if you go to aquariumofthebayfund.org, you can still contribute, help them out during this time so that they can continue to take care of the animals. And so they're okay. So aquariumofthebayfund.org.
And you can absolutely check into our Facebook and our Instagram page. We're constantly trying to post some things to help keep you all entertained. We even just posted some things on our websites for teachers, for different age groups. If you're looking for some activities to do, we're trying to help you out as best as we can. So stay tuned for more and check in, and we'll definitely try to keep you with things to do as well.
And we'll definitely let you know anytime they come up with something. We'll push it through OctoNation, and definitely with your research. She mentioned earlier in the live stream the cool research she's doing, so definitely go and check that out. But another quick question is, how do you get the pieces of her puzzle out of the exhibit when she's done? And does she get agitated when you do? Like, kind of like dogs, you know, when you take a toy away from them, they're like, that's my toy. Do they get protective over their things?
Yes, sometimes. So she'll definitely try to grab them back for me sometimes, even if she's been done with it and hasn't touched it for 24 hours. Let's see. Amanda, could I have you actually help me? I'm going to flip this around, and my Amanda here is going to help me.
Hey, Amanda. Thank you.
I have these palms that allow me to reach for far into the exhibit, allow me to grab things out of the exhibit. I'm very good at using this tool. But yeah, sometimes when I start to pull things.
If you could just move the camera closer. If you can move the camera closer, yeah.
Oh.
It was kind of cutting in and out. I know that's like a big area, but that's so awesome.
Yeah.
We have people saying, thank you so much, guys. This is great. I learned so much. Thank you all for tuning in for sure. Everyone's saying that they would join in for the 24-hour thing. Colin says, go Amanda. Colin Miller says, go Amanda. Yeah, girl.
Oh yeah, we've got Amanda. Do you want to wave? This is our new biologist, Amanda. She just started yesterday in all of this chaos. So we're super awesome. Glad that she's here. She's helping us out during our closure as well.
Perfect. Well,
thank you all so much. We really appreciate you tuning in. Definitely check back in.
I'll let you get back to taking care of the animals. Keep us in the loop, keep the nation in the loop. And we'll definitely can't wait to play with Octavia again. And thanks so much for doing this today.
Yeah, not a problem, Warren. Thank you so much. And thank you, OctoNation, and everyone else that tuned in. Hope to see you again.
And for those that you know, for those that haven't joined, aquariumofthebayfund.org. If you're interested in this live stream, if you got $5, $10, whatever you got, we'd appreciate it if you made a donation to them at this time. So thanks, Hillary Crane. Let's see. Convinced Amanda is an octopus. Didn't see her the entire time. That's what Colin said. And people saying that they enjoyed it. So thank you, Lori. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Hillary. Thanks, Angelique. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good day, and we're signing out. Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.